Hi, everyone. My name is Brandon Santulli from WayUp, and we're so excited to have each and every one of you here for our very first session of Job Search 101. Now, we're kicking things off, rightfully so, in how to start your job searching process. With us today, we have Manny Contaminolis from Harvard University, followed by Norma Geyer from University of Texas at Austin. We have Cindy Love from Out for Undergrad, and we have John Pearson from Unilever. Thank you all so much for joining today.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Brandon.
It's great to be here.
Starting the process with yourself, where would you all start your personal job searching journey? Or, in other words, how do you bring your authentic self to the job searching process?
Yeah, I can start with that. A lot of students make the mistake of reaching out directly to the recruiter. A lot of companies out there have multiple recruiters, so they might not necessarily be recruiting for the role. Reach out to someone that's actually on the team. I can't tell you how many times I've received emails from a director or a manager that was within that department and said, hey, I spoke to a great candidate on LinkedIn. I think he would be a great fit for the role. Please set him up for an interview or include them in the next Discovery Center. I would strongly recommend that because then it's a direct pipeline to the personal recruiter who's recruiting for that role, and then they could then proceed with next steps.
Yes, I couldn't agree more with John. But I'll kind of maybe take a step back and address this and put my Career Center director hat on, because I think sometimes students don't realize that really looking at their career options and thinking about their journey starts the minute they set foot on campus. So whether you are a first year or you're getting ready to head off of campus and go into that first professional opportunity that you're seeking, it's never, ever too early to start that thinking and that process. I just really encourage students to find out what resources exist on campus. Our students have not only our office, but other offices on campus that support career thinking and development in lots and lots of different ways. In order to truly bring your authentic self to work, you need to know who your authentic self is. What are my personality traits? How does that inform what I might want to do? My values is critical, right? What do I truly care about?
We put so much emphasis, so much pressure on that first internship or that first job out of college. But you need to take a big step back and realize that that is just the first step on your journey. The competencies and capabilities you have are more important than the curricula that you pursued. Yes, you need to be trained a certain way to be a nurse or to be an accountant or to be a certain type of engineer. But beyond that, the world is open. So consequently, the language that we really encourage you to think about is your ability to talk about your strengths, your skills, your capabilities, your competencies, more than these are the courses that I took or these are the experiences that I had.
Cindy, what are your thoughts?
You know, I always tell our students, there's this whole process you're going to go through your first job, first internship, all the way through your senior parts of your career. And I use the same sorts of filters each time, which are to curate your concerns, curate your community, and curate your culture fit. Because throughout your life, if you can figure out the responses to each one of those, then you land in a place where you feel purposeful, like people care about you, and you could actually do your best, be your most authentic self.
How can you figure out what's most important to you, and how do you find the right fit? What if you don't really know what's most important to you? Manny, can you start?
Well, the first thing I would say is this is completely okay. I think it's a lot of people struggle when they kind of faced with the prospect of, well, I don't know exactly what I want to do or where I want to do it. So the first thing I would say is that is completely okay. You're joining a very big, very good crowd of people. The way you start to sort that out is by exploring. I think one of the unique opportunities you have is to explore. Do different kinds of internships. Involve yourself in different organizations, volunteer activities. expose yourself to as much as you possibly can. That's a really vital step in trying to determine where you fit in. What are those things that you really are becoming more and more interested in, and where are those opportunities that you really want to kind of focus and learn more and delve more deeply. I think that's one of the most vital steps that sometimes people agonize over.
You might have specific competencies and skills that you don't realize would be valued by that employer. Find folks who are part of the organization that you can talk to. When I receive an inquiry from someone from who goes to my alma mater, I will always step in and talk to them. So find alums who are part of the organization and ask them the questions, those questions that that will matter to you as far as you're feeling a sense of fit, and be mindful of how you articulate your interests and your skills and your competencies by speaking their language and asking the right questions.
Thank you. Cindy, do you mind following up, followed by John?
Yeah, I was thinking I might talk about the fit part. It's sort of like trying on clothes, all right? And you have 3 things you try on, and 2 of them you immediately say, those don't fit me. I don't want to wear that. I don't like the way I look. Another one, you're like, this is perfect. So finding your fit within an organization or a community is a lot like that. And sometimes you actually have to dive into the discomfort to figure out what that is. And none of us like to be uncomfortable, but we learn the most during those moments when we sort of rub up against what we're not sure of.
In an interview, the team is interviewing you, but you're also interviewing them. You know who you are personally, so go ahead and ask the questions that you want to have a better understanding of, so that when you leave that interview, you feel comfortable knowing like, hey, this is the fit for me because I asked the cultural questions. The biggest mistake you will make in your career is joining a company based on a paycheck. You will make that mistake because you're blinded by, oh, this company is paying more, so therefore I am making the right decision because the paycheck at the end of every 15 days is a lot larger. Do not make that mistake, because that's just a short-term goal. Imagine working for a company that you actually asked, hey, if I can only get paid X amount of dollars, what does your tuition reimbursement policy look like? From a cultural fit standpoint, are they going to be paying for my MBA? Are they going to be paying for my master's degree? Well, what if this company offers more time off? You think of a mental well-being perspective.
How do you put your best self out there to actually get noticed? John, if we can start off with you, and then we can go over to Norma, Cindy, and close out with Manny.
So the first thing that I would do if I was a candidate looking for an internship or a rotational role is I would put the LinkedIn notifications for that specific company. So for instance, if you look at some of these top accounting firms, these consulting firms, they're posting roles almost a year in advance. I know, speaking on behalf of Unilever, as a role that I've been recruiting for recently, is we have our roles go up as early as July, August. And for some additional context, working with other peers in my network, roles are being posted as early as June for the following year, and those roles are filling up extremely quick.
So when you look at competencies that you have, perhaps analytical skills or communication skills, or times that you've worked as part of a team, be able to back that up, and your abilities, back it up with clear-cut examples. Think about 2 to 3 scenarios that represent, yes, I am an effective communicator. Yes, I have applied analytical skills. And let me demonstrate to you how I've done that. So practice those responses. Pull some case studies together of yourself. Pull some concrete scenarios and examples that will bolster you up in that process to give them proof that you truly do come to the table with those competencies. So I would say that's a clear-cut strategy that we often forget because we know ourselves, we know what we've done. And yes, I can do that. Yes, I can be a member of a team. Well, tell me more about that, right? How, why, and what was that like? And most importantly, what did you learn through that experience, right? How did you grow? So that would be, one thing I a strategy I think about. Check with your career center too. Many career centers have technology tools that will help you practice your interviewing skills. Use those tools. Only you get to see them. It's for you in your best interest.
We did a study once at one of our companies, and the folks that used video feedback for part of their practice, their placement rate went up by almost 50%. So I would say that the other thing I think that you're really saying, and a technique that we encourage our students to use, is we have them deconstruct the resume and actually insert themselves and their examples in the resume. So then they practice saying, for example, I delved into the following and did the following, so that it becomes internalized as part of the personal brand and story, because that confidence then comes across in how you're communicating. You know, personal brand to me is the thing that people talk about when you're not in the room. So whatever you build for yourself that is the character you're putting out in the world, or the persona, is what you hope when you're not in the room, people are actually telling the story of. And can you condense that whole personal branding experience into a story that literally you could share with someone in 60 seconds? It sounds impossible, but it's not impossible. We do a lot of that kind of work with students so that they can bring their values forward, the things that they've done that reflect those values, and the kinds of hopes and dreams they have for where they want to work and what kind of organization it is. And they can do that quickly enough that, once again, confidence is what is presented instead of standing there not trying to, I don't know, a lot of times students just don't know what to say first. And I think at the end of the day, the personal brand, as it evolves over your lifetime, is what you carry. And one day, when you're as old as some of us on this phone, it'll be your legacy. So it's terribly important to cultivate when you're young.
I'll never forget this. Someone actually told me, it's your resume that gets you in the door. It's your storytelling that gets you the offer.
Yes, absolutely.
So I made this mistake, is I didn't take full advantage of my career services, and I went through these ups and downs through my journey, and it could have been easily resolved in maybe 1 or 2 sessions. But I made these mistakes over and over again because I didn't take full advantage of it.
I think there's 2 really, really critical things that you're hearing from us. One is when you're in your job search, you need to emphasize building your network. And you need to think about your network broadly. Friends, classmates, alumni, assets at the particular organization or institution that you're at. You really need to take kind of a serious look at who are the people I should be talking to, exploring my interests, talking about my interests, and looking for those connections. Secondly, this notion of storytelling, that really should resonate with everyone. Because in essence, your story is part of your brand. Your story is manifest everywhere in your written communications, in your resume, on your LinkedIn profile, in how you talk about yourself to others, and particularly in a recruiting situation. You have to kind of be a little flexible with that story, depending on the circumstances and the audience. What a lot of people struggle with is they have multiple interests. So you need to be able to tell multiple stories about yourself.
I want to thank our amazing panelists for joining us today. You all provided incredible insights, and I'm sure everyone in the audience agrees. So thank you all again for taking the time.
Thank you, Brandon. It's great to be here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
Following this, we'll have a live Q&A where you all can ask your questions. You can figure out all those burning questions you might have from our session. So make sure to stick around for that. And yeah, we'll get right into that now.